And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us late on a Tuesday evening. Had some fun celebrating Grandma's birthday, so just want to shout out to her. If she is still up, you need to get some rest, Grandma, but just want to say happy birthday once again, and I had a nice time with you tonight. But Christmas Eve is just around the corner, New Year's around the corner as well. Lots to get into with your families and friends. I hope you guys are having some fun. But there's still baseball news still going on, and we got a nice juicy nugget today from Ken Rosenthal regarding Ketel Marte. That and more ahead next here at the Upside. Ken Rosenthal, speaking on foul territory, brought some news that the Diamondbacks, not only had they been talking about Ketel Marte during in trade talks anyway, he got a little bit better sense of what's going on with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Of course, we already knew the ask for Ketel Marte was young, controllable starting pitching that was MLB ready or close to being MLB ready. They didn't want rookie ball players. They didn't want guys in A ball or even guys in Double A if they weren't ready to come up to the big leagues and make a difference in their big league pitching staff. Now, remember the issues that the Diamondbacks had last year. Of course, Corbin Burns goes down due to injury, but you also had some really poor performance from some of your top flight arms. Zach Gallen specifically was not very good last year. They traded away Merrill Kelly. The signing of Jordan Montgomery could not have gone worse for them. They had issues, of course, with the sign of Eduardo Rodriguez. They just want to kind of reset their payroll structure on that pitching staff. Can't really blame them after how things have turned out over the last couple of seasons. They had a great run up to the World Series, and then since then that pitching hasn't been nearly as good. Gallen, of course, only one down year. Merrill Kelly, kind of the model of consistency. But outside of that, they haven't really had much to count on. So this is a real chance for them to kind of reset their salary structure as well. Ketel Marte is not making a whole lot of money. He's 32 years old, which I think is part of the biggest reason why they are so ambitious and trying to be as creative as they can and trying to find a suitable trade partner out there for him. But the nugget we got from Ken Rosenthal today basically said that we know that they're talking about Ketel Marte, and he does have the 10-5 rights coming to him after the season if he finishes the season, or if he at least starts the season, I believe, with Ketel Marte. I want to say it's 10 games in, he'll hit his 10-year mark, and at that point, he'll have spent 5 years with the team. He basically would have first right of refusal on some of these trades. So it gets a lot harder to make a trade with Ketel Marte after that after those 10-5 rights kick in, which is why the market for him I think is so robust. He's such a good player. He's not necessarily a young, spry kid anymore. He's 32 years old, and this is a very young, up-and-coming team on the position player side. I think they're trying to match that on the pitching side, so that's why I think they're trying to jettison him during this offseason. So let us know in the comments section where you think he ultimately goes. Headlines earlier this offseason kind of connecting him consistently anyway with the Boston Red Sox and to the Tampa Bay Rays. Multitude of other teams, of course, would be interested and have been connected at various stages in the past. But Ketel Marte, for me, his contract is so valuable. And as far as what he can bring your team right now, I think every team could be in on this guy if they really wanted to be. Now, the acquisition ain't going to be cheap. He's still a very good player on what is the most valuable asset to teams, which is a good young player on such a reasonable, affordable, long-term deal. I believe he's got 6 years left on that deal with the Diamondbacks. He looks like a very nice piece. Teams should be trying to acquire here in the MLB hot stove season. Now, what kind of trade package could he bring back? You're probably talking at least 2 blue chip pieces. Those the Arizona Diamondbacks want those guys to be pitching. So if you don't have pitching, you're probably not going to be in the running here for Ketel Marte. We could very well see some surprising teams in here for him, i.e. the Miami Marlins. I think that would help increase their payroll and help give them a significant boost to that rotation. They have several good, high-quality young arms in their system that they could afford to lose a couple or possibly work a 3-team deal that would include Cabrera, but again, that's a lot more complicated. I think they have the pitching prospects down low that they should be able to get this deal done on their own. But welcome in Caleb, welcome in Sean. When do Okamoto and Imai have to sign? I believe Imai and the Okamoto are about a week after Christmas, right around that range. I believe Imai, goes into January just barely, if I remember correctly. But it's going to happen very quickly. I know we get quite a few viewers from our Cubby fans up there, so I really do appreciate you guys checking in. Imai, too. Cubby, I still think you guys are a really good chance to bring him in. I'm still pretty much in the same boat of around that 35 to 40%. I'd put the Yankees in that same boat, and then the rest of the percentage split up between, I don't know, 10 other teams. But if I had to pick a team right now for Imai, I would guess he ends up in Chicago. They need starting pitching so very desperately, and I think the front office is growing wise to that fact by less fervently pursuing offensive upgrades, or at least a return of Kyle Tucker, or possibly bringing in their top target, Alex Bregman. But Imai, I think, would be the guy I would go after. I think that's where they will go, or at least try to get done. The question is, does a team blow them out of the water with a better offer? We shall see. Cubs have been notoriously, I don't want to say cheap, but frugal, fiscally responsive, or responsible, as Hal Steinbrenner would say, for the Yankees. But they're not necessarily the wheeling and dealing team that we might have expected in our 20 years ago, when they were trying to still bring in top level free agents, but we're still being beat out for those guys from the East Coast markets of Boston and New York. But the Cubs certainly have a good young foundation here. Emphasis on young. You don't need to make a move right here. I don't necessarily think they're going to try to do anything via trade, but I think an Imai upgrade to that rotation would be just what the doctor ordered. But that's news item number 1 on Ketel Marte and his trade market. Number 2 has got to be the Pittsburgh Pirates. They follow up the trade of Brennan Lau to bring in Ryan O'Hearn, the first multi-year contract they've agreed to with an outside free agent since 2016. That's right. The Pittsburgh Pirates haven't signed an outside free agent in over 9 years. Ouch. That tells you kind of how risk-averse they are to spending money in free agency, why they're always trying to bargain hunt and see what they can find, which can't really blame them for that fact. But there's more to do, I guess is the biggest way I can put it. The Pirates here, I think, for what the Pirates did here, they're getting 2 years, $29 million, another $1 million in incentives based on how his play goes, those kinds of things. But they certainly have enough money to improve their roster around the periphery. They've always had that money. Are they going to spend all of their revenue-sharing money? Hell no. They're going to try to still turn a profit. These owners still like to view these franchises as a business model. And to a certain extent they want a return on their investment. Here's the hint, owners. Your value comes from the value of the overall franchise. If you take over the Boston Celtics at the height of their prime and so forth, and they've got all these championship banners, and then you go the next 20 years without winning one, is your franchise nearly as valuable as it was when you were winning all of those championships? No. And so that's something I think teams need to be more cognizant of when they're spending so little money. That revenue sharing isn't necessarily the best way to go as far as increasing your profit year over year. Your profit comes from the long-term value and long-term sale of your franchise. You buy the franchise for $100 million 20 years ago. You sell it for a whole heck of a lot more at that point. I'm Heel. Welcome back. Appreciate you joining us this late. If the Pirates can keep improving, they can be a legit threat in 2026. Maybe, just maybe, Kyle Tucker or Bregman, or at least Suarez goes there. Hell no. The reason why I say that is because the Pirates aren't going to step out that far. Now, could they improve? Obviously. The offense, I think, could use improvements pretty much everywhere. They did a nice job solving issues over at first base. They got a bunch of second base options now. Outfield, I think, is going to have to be a concern here. So many teams, though, are looking for right-handed hitters. And that's kind of my third point. I've seen multiple articles just in the last 24 hours connecting the Guardians, the Rangers, the Mariners, who now have since signed Rob Refsnyder, and the Cardinals now for a right-handed hitting outfielder. Expect some of those right-handed hitting outfielders to get a little bit of a bump in what their pay might be, without as much outside interest as there is in those types of players. You can say cheap. They were bottom 6 in percent of revenue spent on payroll. Yeah, you're kind of right there. I mean, to me, the owners of the Cubs they seem more interested in their English Premier League team anyway. I can't remember which one they own, but every time I see where their investments are really going, it seems to be going internationally rather than in that Cubs ball club anyway. They certainly are a good team still, but they certainly are a young team that could use long-term answers at certain spots, whether that means bringing back Kyle Tucker or signing in Alex Bregman. They could use some long-term stability. They've got some really nice options position player-wise. Pitching, I still wonder if they're going to have enough long term. They've got some good young options coming, don't get me wrong, but I think there's more work to do. Caleb, what's your guess on who the Jays sign, Tucker, Bichette, Bregman, or do you think they sign two of those? Jeff Passan believes they will sign two. My guess is they probably sign one. My guess would probably be Kyle Tucker because I keep hearing them so fervently. I just think that one is a fait accompli at this point. Let's see here. Sir Centro, welcome in. Appreciate you joining us this late. We're not going to do a long live tonight. Had another open to close day. Went over to the folks' place and celebrated Grandma's birthday thereafter. But we will have an afternoon live tomorrow at around 2 o'clock is what I'm shooting for. My family usually celebrates Christmas Eve when we do the presents and do our part of our feast anyway. The ladies end up doing spaghetti. Me and my dad will end up doing oyster stew, homemade from scratch. It's really fantastic. But something I always grew up with and kind of our tradition on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, of course, the ham potato recipe that your favorite potato recipe your family's coming up with. But that's kind of the plan going forward, is to do our live tomorrow at 11, or do our live tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Our live today anyway at 11. On Christmas Day, we will still do a live. That will probably be in the afternoon. I'll get back with you tomorrow more accurately as far as a time. But Sir Central, how serious are the talks about the Dodgers trading Ferris, Hope, and Kim for Jazz Chisholm? Zero. Zaire Hope himself is far more valuable than Jazz Chisholm. Chisholm's a nice player, but I would give up the farm for Zaire Hope as far as a prospect right now. He's got his flaws, don't get me wrong. He finally had his first real struggles last year, but he certainly has a high ceiling, and I'm not giving up that package for a player, even as good as Jazz Chisholm is. I'm not giving up that type of potential. We're talking middle of the order type of a bat, speed, all the things you want in an outfielder. But we'll see where these things ultimately end up for both teams, the Yankees and the Dodgers. But I don't think there's any truth to the rumors of that specific type of offer for a Jazz Chisholm. If that offer's on the table from the Dodgers, why the Yankees haven't said yes already would be beyond me. John Trevino, welcome in with a new skipper. What will be his strategy? Will he be on base performance versus big names? Peter Brand philosophy, maybe. You're referring to the Rangers' new strategy? It's going to be more getting back to moving the runner over, productive outs, contact rate, minimizing the strikeout, working the count. And I think they're going to have a more simplified message for the hitters than they did last year. I think the message kind of got muddled over the season. Nothing against Brett Boone or any of the other hitting coaches they had last year, but I just think that the message got a little bit lost in translation. I'm Heel. I think Okamoto would be a smart signing by the Red Sox. I think he'd be a great third baseman for them, a cheaper option than an Alex Bregman, quite obviously. Love traditions this time of year. Absolutely. Hopefully you guys are having some great traditions of your own, seeing friends, family. If you guys go caroling, I know some people still do that even now. Seems like something from a long time ago. I actually saw a huge group just walking randomly through a neighborhood, probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, just being led around by the local priest there. And it was probably, a couple hundred people in his line, or in this group of people just walking around, just taking a walk, singing some Christmas songs, and just having a good old time. So there are still some people who like to go out there and do that, and if you are one of those people, I hope you guys are having a lot of fun, but make sure you stay safe as well. Probably no news for the next 3 days. Ethan, I think you're getting very close to that point at this point. I was hoping we would see a deal before we get to Christmas Eve. We might still get one, in the morning. We did get one today with Ryan O'Hearn, 2 for 29 to the Pirates. Not exactly the big deal we were hoping for, but a move nonetheless. But with Christmas basically upon us, I pretty much expect the trade talk to come to a standstill at least until probably a couple days after Christmas. Will they get something done before New Year's? I think your guess is as good as mine. But the offseason moves very quickly once we get to January. So those free agents that are still out there should start to come off the board a little bit faster. But heard an argument today from a couple of different people, pundits anyway, talking about why free agency hasn't exactly gone as well as expected for some of these players. Why haven't teams ponied up the money yet? They may still end up getting their money, but why aren't teams just offering it right off the bat? So, teams, of course, do kind of a group think. They have very similar value estimations on what players are worth. But, the part of the reasoning for this, according to Ken Rosenthal, is that maybe some of these teams aren't as enamored with this crop of free agents as there have been in years past. And I couldn't blame them. This is not exactly an especially strong free agent class this year. There's no Shohei Ohtani. There's no Aaron Judge in this class. And teams are locking up their good young talent way before they would normally in years past. And I think that's kind of the new formula for success in Major League Baseball. Are you going to be able to retain your guys, and how much are you willing to spend? If you're willing to spend and be able to retain your guys, you could have a really nice team going forward. But all right, let's keep this thing going here. Just about to run out of energy myself. I'm sure I'm talking in circles at this point. It's been a long, long, long 5 or 6 days. But let's see here. I'm Heel. I hate oysters in general, so I can only imagine if I had to eat oysters too, but I would eat it. It was the best thing I ever had if it means the Yankees don't win the World Series. Well, I understand that from a lot of fan bases. They were the evil empire growing up for a lot of us youngsters. And to me, the Dodgers have kind of passed them by in present day, obviously. But, the Yankees are still the Yankees. They're going to be around playoff contention, if not in the World Series conversation, every single season, it seems like. They are a good team. They do have an owner that's willing to spend as much as certain fan bases would love their owner to spend more. He certainly does more than his fair share. Could he go higher? Sure, but he certainly is committing quite a bit of money already to that team, and I can't really fault an owner for that too far when he's willing to go to the level he's already gone. Now, could he go a little bit further here? I think there's a real opportunity for him to do that this offseason by bringing back Bellinger. If they go after Tucker, bringing in Amai, addressing some needs in the bullpen. What do they do at first base if they don't bring in Bellinger? Lots to do, but once that calendar turns over to January 1st, teams, players, the urgency really starts to set in with pitchers and catchers to report about a month and change after that. Wanted to get into some trade talk, but I'm absolutely bushed, you guys. Completely spent. Hopefully you guys are having fun with your families this evening and tomorrow, and with the Christmas holiday over the next couple of days. We will again do our live tomorrow at around 11, I keep wanting to say 11. That's tonight, 11. Tomorrow, it'll be around 2 o'clock, so be sure to join us then. We're going to go ahead and do some trade talk during that video, so be sure to tune in. We'll do a little bit longer of a video. We're also going to do some Christmas presents for each team. Which free agent or which trade target is going to be underneath your team's Christmas tree this year? Who's the present, or who's the player you're going to unwrap and have sign on your team? But appreciate you guys joining us. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Heel. Have you ever thought about doing a mini meetups? I live 2 hours from Dallas, and I would love to meet you. I live about 2 hours from Dallas as well, so just kind of depends on which direction. We were talking about going to an actual game earlier this year as well. Ultimately, it didn't pan out, but I would really like to do something like that next year. So that's something we could do. If we do have a lot of local people in Texas that could do a meetup, just talk about sports, have a good old time, maybe get some good food, do something fun. That'd be a lot of fun for us. I think that would be something we could really enjoy, but we'll see. Welcome back, Lucas. Appreciate you joining us. Merry Christmas. I know those of you who are watching it internationally may already have gotten getting everything together, getting ready to go out with families on Christmas Eve, those kinds of things. Still early in the day, though, I'm sure, for you, Lucas. But we're getting there. It's almost time for us to start celebrating with our families and just enjoy what has been a up and down 2025 for the majority of, everybody at this point. But again, thank you guys for your support. We'll be live again tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It'll be the rare midday live that we do during the week. We'll do another midday live on Christmas Day. I'll get you guys a time on that tomorrow as I get more details as far as the plans with my family on Christmas Day as well. But thank you for support. We'll see you guys again tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Take care, stay safe, and Merry Christmas, everybody.